Hi, this is Andrew in Russia, stuck in Russia. Okay, so I don't want to just bitch about Russia, and there's some good things about Russia and about Russians. Russians really like nature. Most Russians have a summer house in nature, in the countryside, which is really cool. And they like to go to their summer houses on weekends, especially when the weather is good, but even in winter. And they like to get away from the city and go to country houses. I've lived in America for almost 40 years, and I don't remember anyone actually having a house in the country. If you want to go to the country, you rent a cabin or something. But yeah, most Russians, middle class Russians, not rich people, uh, not just rich people, they build their own houses or inherit their houses from their grandparents or something. And so that's cool. And they love to spend the summers in nature and the countryside and they love picking mushrooms and they all know which ones are good and which ones are bad. And yeah, my son spends most of his time in the summer house, so I barely see him in the summer, which sucks because his grandparents don't invite me to their summer house. But anyway, so that's great. They love nature. But the problem is, okay, before I get to the but, I'll say they also love having picnics in nature. And they love having what they call shishliks, okay, where you go and cook meat shish kebabs uh, on the beach or in the forest. And that's great. I love doing that too. And but the thing is, they just leave all their litter behind in the forest, on the beach, in nature. And I can't understand that. I mean, luckily, I live in a big city, but I live near a beach and forest on the river. And I love going into the forest and on the beach, but there's so much litter in the forest because people go there to have a picnic, to have their barbecues, okay? And then they just leave all their trash there. They don't even burn it or take it back with them to dispose of it properly. They just leave it there, and that's so disgusting. And that's what really abhors me about Russians, and in general, they just drop their trash on the streets. I was on the bus, and the bus door opened, and some guy just threw his can out onto the street of whatever he was drinking, and it's just I don't understand that mentality. You love nature. They obviously love nature. Okay, but then you go into nature and you destroy it, and you just leave all your crap and all your litter everywhere and make it look ugly and harm nature, even though you like being in nature. It's such a strange mentality for me. Um, I brought my kid to never litter. He knows that's like taboo to litter. He even, when he sees a bottle on the street or something, he'll pick it up and put it in a trash bin. But yeah, Russians just litter, despite the fact they love nature. And so it's like a paradox. It's like a enigma. It's just so weird and so strange. And yeah. And about the environment, they don't really care about the environment, even though they love nature, which is another like enigma. Okay. Um, like I teach mainly teenagers, like I said, and from like 13 to 17, we talk about environmental issues and stuff like that, and they're like, we don't care because by the time it gets really bad, we're gonna be dead. And I'm like, what about your children and your grandchildren? And they're like, that's their problem. It's not our problem. That's the basic Russian mentality. We don't care. It's future generations' problem. And they just want to have fun in nature and enjoy nature, but they don't really care about protecting nature. Finally, we got recycling in Russia, okay? And really, the real only reason why they actually started recycling because they never did for all the years they've been living here is because of the World Championship football competition came here, right? FIFA, okay? And they realized that if they didn't have bins for recycling, uh, people from Western Europe and America would think they're just like barbarians that they don't recycle. I mean, because it's so normal for us in America and in Europe, especially Western Europe, to recycle that to think that there's not an option to recycle. That's like, what are you living in the Middle Ages or something? I like the Middle Ages, by the way, but you know, so they started a recycling program just to look good for Western countries. And I recycle everything I can now that I have an opportunity. I started a recycling program in my school, and the first day I recycled 50 kilos of paper because we use paper a lot. We use it, one side, and then we recycle it to use it on the other side. And then when both sides are used up, then they usually threw it away. But I'm like, okay, we have a recycling place now. Let's recycle it. And so in my school, I encourage them to recycle, and I recycle everything for them. I recycle everything I can, bottles and everything. But and I try to encourage my students and my son to recycle. But basically, they don't care. They're like, whatever, you know. Um, why? Why is that? For one reason, they think that it's not a big problem right now. It'll be a problem for the next generation, and we'll be dead by then. Okay, another thing. It's also many of my students said it's based on a kind of uh, a Soviet mentality from the time of Soviet Union, where you didn't own anything, property wasn't yours, so you didn't really care about it. Okay, because you didn't own it, and so you just did whatever you wanted, and because it wasn't yours. And that's an interesting idea. But in general, they don't take environmental issues seriously. They think like they have enough problems of their own with poverty and homelessness and everything, and they don't have to worry about some kind of like global problem. And yeah, but the fact that they litter so much, it's just disgusting. That's one of the things that just turns me off completely about Russians. If I see someone throwing trash on the street when there's especially if there's a trash bin right nearby, and it's just despicable. And so, yeah, Russians have a love for nature, but they also don't care about nature. because, first of all, their economy is based on fossil fuels, and so they're not going to think about trying to transform to any other form of energy. And in general, they're not concerned about it. And they're concerned about, they have problems with poverty and homelessness. And, well, they're not concerned about homelessness, but they're kind of concerned about poverty. And so protecting the environment, they don't care about. They care about making money, especially in the elites and the politicians and everything. And yeah, thank goodness for FIFA, because that's what brought recycling to Russia, because we never had it before. We never had it before until FIFA came, and then all of a sudden, well, yeah. The Europeans will think we're barbarians if we don't recycle, so we have to recycle. So that's good. Um, yeah, students aren't concerned. I just had a conversation with my adult students about it today, about the environment, and they're like, "Well, yeah, it's a problem, but what can we do about it? We need our cars. We can't live without them. Um, we don't have good mass transportation here." And I'm like, you can do little things like recycle. You can do little things like shutting off your computer instead of letting it go on standby, or conserving water and stuff like that. And all those little things help. And I'm like, yeah, but there's always the but. So yeah, I'd love to live in like a society that really cares about nature and preserving nature. But there are some things like one of my students, 15-year-old student, he goes to a ecological camp every summer for coronavirus, of course, and they live like on a nature reserve, right? And they learn all about animals and plants, and they live in nature for like 2 weeks. And the way it describes it is really cool and really interesting and educational and fun at the same time. And so yeah, there are good things, but the littering thing. It's such an easy thing to do, and that's what I told my students today. It's such an easy thing to do, not to litter. Yeah, having a barbecue in the forest, if you're not going to start a forest fire, or on the beach, that's really great and fun, and I love it also. And but take your litter with you, or at least burn it. Don't leave it don't besmirch the beauty of where you want to be. You love going to nature. Why would you leave all your litter there and make it look ugly and despicable and harm nature by leaving all of your litter there, right? But they don't. Well, for one thing, because when you go to a barbecue, you drink a lot and they don't think about it, okay? Especially in Russia, okay? Even though it's against the law to drink alcohol in Russia unless you're surrounded by four walls. Cops told me that. When I was having a barbecue and drinking uh, some beer. And, but of course, nobody obeys that law. But yeah, so they love nature, but they don't really care about taking care of nature or protecting nature or recycling or anything like that. I mean, the secretary even when she first came to work there, even was making fun of me, like, "Who's gonna recycle all that paper? Who's gonna take that there?" I'm like, "I'm gonna," and yeah, so okay, Russia loves nature, but Russia's not interested in protecting the nature that it loves. On the contrary, it harms the nature that it loves because it thinks, and because people think that in our lifetime everything's gonna be okay, and who cares what happens about the future when we're dead? So yeah, that's Russia and the environment. See you next time.